So this morning I'm just here outside of Belfast with Northern Irish motorcycle rider Jeremy McWilliams. So Jeremy, before we get into your career and all that sort of stuff, how has the lockdown here in Northern Ireland affected you and how have you been getting on?
Stir crazy, I suppose, like everybody else, but I know it was just nice to get back to work. I've been back and forward now to Germany and Austria a couple of times working with my day job, KTM, which has been good. But yeah, just luckily we had that good weather. I think we got plenty of stuff done around the house. The garden's looking better than it's ever looked. Building and still building away in the back garden, so it's been good too. But yeah, it's a bit strange. You know, the new normal doesn't really feel normal any longer. It'd be nicer to get back to work full time.
And you're keeping fit, obviously. I think everyone's seen from the Instagram stories going around. Yourself and your cycling group, you're keeping fit going around here in Northern Ireland.
Cycle racers, we call them. It's Glenn and Andrew Irwin and Simon Reid, and Alistair Seeley. So it's been good. Yeah, we've been social distancing and doing it correctly, but we did get a bit of a bad rap for cycling so much at the time. But we had to do something to keep ourselves sane, and it's worked out quite well. It's nice to be
keeping active and social at
exactly,
the same time.
Of course.
So going back now to the starting off, I suppose, in your motorcycling career, your early 20s. You grew up here just outside of Belfast, but your early 20s was when you started to race bikes. How did you get come to racing bikes?
To be honest, it kind of fell into it accidentally. It was a hobby that became a bit serious. We actually, as I was saying, the road I live on was where we used to ride up and down, and we just ride in production bikes, normal street bikes, 200cc Yamahas, 350s, 250 LCs, and somebody just suggested we should take our exploits to the racetrack, and maybe it'd be safer than riding on the road, and kind of that's what we did. I shouldn't really say, but we used to nick into Nuts Corner on a Sunday afternoon whenever the gates were left unlocked, and practice getting our knee down with in our jeans, which wasn't a good idea. And then then we ended up in Mandela Park. One day I bought a van and a motorcycle, went off to Mandela Park, and that's how it began. Really, my love of the sport. Really, staying overnight doing a 2-day meeting was more like an adventure, and then I realised I could do it at a decent enough level, and won the production Irish Championship, and it kind of went on from there.
And then of course it just kind of escalated from there, as you said, and then in the early 90s and into the 2000s you went and you were doing British Grand Prix, and then across Europe as well on 250 and 500cc machines. So tell us kind of how all that came about.
I was still racing here and on the British scene, back and forward. Queen's University Belfast, came in and supported with a motorbike in '91, which was a big thing. For anybody to get the QUB ride was kind of the icing on the cake over here. Willie Coulter was riding at the time, and they brought me in as his teammate, and we went off the British Championship and did some European Championships as well. And from that, really, Joe Miller offered me the 500 seat along. Actually, it was Eddie Laycock was there before me, and he gave me Eddie's seat in '93. And that was a big turnaround for me. I had to give up my job. And at the time,
to get real.
I didn't understand the implications of it. It was like, okay, so we go GP racing, how am I going to get back for work? And Joe said, well, you're going to give it up, and I'm going to pay you to do it. And that's kind of how it started. I think I jumped in at the deep end, not really realizing what an undertaking it was to go and race GP 500. Turning up at Jerez for the first test, and looking through the fence and thinking, what have I got myself into here? First year, complete waste of time. Didn't finish anything. I can't remember finishing a race for about I don't know, more than 10 meetings, I'm sure. And came back '94, different person. I went and I trained, put a bit of effort into it. Really put my head down. Came back in '94, and things actually worked out for me. I had about 6 top 10 finishes, and from then on, we stuck with the 500, but within a couple of years we realised that we weren't going to be competitive on the 500. Robert Fleck and QEV were still supporting role, and we decided to go back on or go to 250s. Something that I knew that had been my bread and butter before I went to GPs, and jumped on the 250 and immediately became competitive. Fighting in amongst the top 10 and finishing 6th in the World Championship, I think, and podiums and the like on non-factory machinery really kind of opened up my career for me. And I think if I hadn't moved to the 250s, it would have been a much shorter career, and I'd end up coming back and asking for the old job back down in Chubb down in Belfast.
And just when you were talking there about the MotoGP, like, what can you even explain, like, what it's like, going, I suppose, when you're in the situation, you kind of just get on with it, but like going to MotoGP, like, did you ever think, oh my God, I'm at, MotoGP? And like, when you look at like the likes of Valentino Rossi and what he's doing now, like, you were actually there. Do you ever sort of look back and go, God,
I was there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sometimes there's that awakening. It's funny though, you go back to GP, it's nice to call in and see them all and get a chat, and it's like you hadn't left. It's nice to call into Valentino's garage and say hello, and there's not many more still racing that I remember. So over the years I've been back and forward and got to catch up with them again. But it's a bit of a surreal kind of feeling. I kind of don't look at myself that way. It was just one of those. It was just a period in my life that I probably didn't appreciate as much as I do now when I was there, and maybe on hindsight, I'd have done things slightly differently, in some respects, but I would never change anything as it was. I'm really happy with the career. It's nice to look back on. I'm still in one piece and I'm still racing motorcycles, so it's not that bad actually.
And then you tapped into road racing a little bit then as well, you were saying just before, and you've had a lot of success just up a little bit here from where you are now, in the Northwest, in the Supertwin class especially. What was, was there ever a kind of an appeal to keep road racing, or was it just something you kind of did on the side?
There was never really any plan to go road racing, to be honest. After MotoGP, at the end of MotoGP, I kind of went back and raced the 800 class. Started racing the 800 class with Ilmore in about 2008. That stopped. The team folded. The team came back out of the championship with no sponsorship, and I was back doing things with KTM, doing some supporting role with some development at the time, and the opportunity came up with one of Ryan Farquhar's bikes at the Northwest 200, and I kind of jumped at it thinking, well, it might just be a bit of fun, this, go and do it. Racing motorbikes is always fun. If it's not fun, you shouldn't be there. But I always loved the Northwest 200. I've been brought up around the Northwest 200, and getting the opportunity to ride at it was definitely something at that time in my, I remember I'm well into my 40s and thinking, is it the right thing to do? And luckily it kind of all fell into place. I finished second at the first attempt, and I won it the next year, and we kind of look at it as a week where we go up and have a bit of fun, enjoy everything about the Northwest.
And you race.
And you race, so you go up, you eat in the best restaurants. You're meeting up with the guys that you came up with racing all those years ago when I first started. You meet all of those again. They're all still racing or they've got some sort of role within the sport, and then get to play golf on Wednesday at Royal Port Rush, which is important, and then we race again on Thursday, and
it's a win-win.
It's a day off on Friday. I mean, where would you get a day off when you go racing? I've never had that experience in my life where you get a day off and you can relax a little bit and spend time. You
did a great year last year there, 2019.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great year, and it wasn't a great week on
not
the
a great
Thursday.
start.
Not a great start, but it finished off well, and I'm proud of the fact that we managed to stand on top of the podium again.
Yeah.
There is no feeling like it, particularly when there's so many young riders, so keen to do so well at the Northwest, because it's a big accolade to win the Northwest 200 and in front of all the fans, and it was a special day. Yeah.
So then in 2013, a slightly different avenue, I suppose, than you had been used to. Motorcycle rider, now come actor. You got offered a supporting role in the film with Scarlett Johansson, Under the Skin. So how did all this come around?
The strange one, that Holly. Not really sure how it came about. I was contacted by one of the production assistants, and they told me they were looking for an actor who could ride a motorcycle, but he also had to have a certain look about him. He had to look a bit evil. I'm not sure why they called me on that one, but and then Jonathan Glazer came on Skype, and then I realised it wasn't a wind up, and said, can you get dressed in a pair of leathers and walk up and down the living room floor for me and record it and send it to us. And then they invited me over, and it all went from there. Over to actually we did most of it in the Highlands of Scotland, riding in the dark of night, middle of the night, and wet and horrible conditions, and it wasn't all that easy. The conditions were pretty difficult.
In recent years, you've been over in Austria with the KTM. So what exactly is your role over there with them?
Work with the R&D department, really, on developing their road bike stuff. So not their racing motorcycles. It's really working with everything from suspension to traction control to cornering ABS, the ergo, really everything to do with some of the bigger bikes, the Super Duke and the 1290 GT. So been working with them since about 2000, and I think the first kind of contracted role was about 2011 with the first Super Duke, and then since then, year on year, there's been a contract to work with them. The current contract runs through to about 2022, and then I'm working on a new project that doesn't launch until 24. So,
keeping you busy.
Yeah, busy enough. I mean, it's probably only work-wise, it's probably only about maybe 120 days a year, but there's quite a bit of traveling involved in it. So, adding on the travel, there's still you feel like
when you're working, you're doing long days, and you're
it's
non-stop.
7 in the morning to 7 at night, which is it's definitely longer than even when you're working with a race team. Some of the testing days go on, but we would work 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So it's quite different. I get home for a weekend, or I usually been away racing over a weekend. It's nice to get home for a weekend.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy, for this today, and I hope everyone at home has enjoyed and listened to your stories about MotoGP, road racing, and of course your new venture with KTM. So all the best in the future, and we'll see you hopefully racing soon when all this COVID's over.
Yeah, thanks. We'll be back to it hopefully next year. We'll see.